Food faces
Faces made of food
with different emotions.
and lots of personality. So this is cheddar cheese, just some large shreds of cheddar cheese, and I grabbed 2 eyebrows, 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and then I can do basically any expression with just 5 pieces of cheese. It's amazing how much personality 5 pieces of cheese can have.
Yeah.
So I just played with it for a little bit and made a bunch of different faces. You learn as you experiment what the different angles of the eyes make it say and how to make it look like it's looking in a different direction and what the angles of the eyebrows can tell you.
It says, huh? Oh, it's so sad.
This was our monthly guild collaborative project, so everybody's making faces out of their food.
Woo!
Trying to make them have personalities and emotion. So some people made one food face and then had a whole bunch of different expressions with the one food face. And some people did one face that had a lot of personality.
Like me.
I love this one. You used a paintbrush and swept some pepper around. And it kept making us sneezy because it was very peppery. But I think that the face turned out really, really emotive. I think the most important skill you can develop as an artist is how to see the world. It's not even how to draw or how to use the materials, which are important. But I think the most important skill is how to see the world, period. How to see the world. And one of the things that is one of you guys' strengths, something that you guys are really good at, is drawing people's faces and having them emote. And you guys have both always been really good at it. And I don't know quite why, but it's something that a lot of people find really challenging. And I think something that you can do to get yourself to think about what kinds of shapes and faces make what kinds of emotions and tell what kinds of stories is to just play
Yay!
with things and make faces out of things that aren't even art related. And everybody has food. Everybody eats.
Yum, yum, yum.
So once I put them into Photoshop, I would take out the backgrounds. If I had a clean background and some good contrast, I could just use the magic wand tool where you can just select around. But anything that I needed to have more control over, I would cut out with the pen tool. So I would trace around it with the vectors, where you can do straight lines with just clicking from one point to another. If you click and drag, you can get a Bezier and do a Bezier curve. So I cut out all of the faces.
Snip, snip.
I use layer styles, either in Photoshop or in After Effects, to create shadows. And I actually used the bevel emboss on most things too, so that we had a consistent light source across all of the different faces, no matter where they were photographed. So as it pans across in the animation, everything's consistent. This is Aunt Monica's face. She sent us a single picture, and I photoshopped the background in behind the eyes and the tongue and got rid of the plate. And that way I could control the eye movement and make the tongue move and the mouth could move.
Animation.
So in After Effects, this is in After Effects, and you can import a PSD, and as long as you tell it to maintain the layer styles and the layers, then it'll keep them in their own pre-composition. You'll still have all those layers. So I've got the cheese is all in different layers, and Aunt Mo's face is all in different layers. And then Sam, your body, that's your little person that you made, the full body.
Yep.
That's actually just a PNG with no background. And in After Effects, if I go into the pre-composition, that's all the cheese layers, the original Photoshop file, I can make each layer a couple of frames long, and I can use the sequencing tool in the animation dropdown, and I can just make them sequence, so they'll bump through the sequence, and it kind of looks like it's animating. There's no in-betweens in a regular animation. You'd have stuff in between each still expression. But it's still kind of fun and cute.
Cute.
And then for anything that was like your person, puppet pinned. And that is where you take the little pin and you put it in the points that you want to have control over. So either as a point you want to grab to move or a point that you want to have hold still. And you can go along your timeline and just set the positions along the timeline.
So cool.
And then for things like Aunt Monica's, I would use the position tool drop down and the rotation animation, and I could move the eyes and the mouth and the scale, and I squished the tongue. I moved its axis point to the end of the mouth, and then I could squish it so that it looked like it was coming out of the mouth.
I like the tongue.
So in After Effects, on the bottom you have the timeline. It's where you control when things are happening. So along the timeline, for each second or each frame or each minute, you can control what's happening. You can set a different position or a different scale, or have the puppet pins move to different places, or have things change in opacity, or have things change effects along the timeline. And that's how you do animations.
Look at them go.